Okay, so similar to what we did yesterday, we are going to complete that table and those questions again so that you become very familiar with how to find these language devices and language features within your advertisements. So today we're going to be looking at this Washington State advertisement. So this one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the table. Let's get this done. Yesterday I had a few questions about the comparing the two advertisements. We aren't comparing the two advertisements because we haven't done two advertisements yet. So tomorrow's lesson, which will be Thursday, that's where we'll answer the last question, which is about comparing them, because then we'll have two advertisements to compare. Okay, guys? So don't jump the gun a little bit. Just stick to whatever I'm doing on these videos. Okay, list examples using the advertisements. So what we're going to do is go through and have a look for figurative language examples. Identify the feature, list an example. I have a feeling my phone's going to ring in a second. Let's keep going. Okay, so what we'll do is I already know that within the box, oh, I haven't even read the advertisement. Look at me being pretty gung-ho about it. Okay, what we'll do is we'll go through and read it. If you see me looking down, it's probably because I'm having a look at this one because the one on the screen is a bit small for me to read the copy text. So from the top it says, what's your excellent Washington State adventure? Do you dream of majestic peaks, captivating sunsets, or a stroll through a quiet vineyard? Washington State is full of memory-making adventures. So whether you are a first-time visitor or resident expert, why not share yours with the world? Tell us your story and discover others at experiencewa.com. And then within this box at the bottom, it says start your adventure at experiencewa.com. First things first is at the very box in the top that looks like it's kind of been pinned onto the advertisement is a what? Drum roll. Rhetorical question. Let's write that one in. Well, I can't write that one in, but you're going to write that one in. So in the box, you're going to write rhetorical question. So I'm just going to kind of blow it up a little bit for you. Apologies for this setup. I tried to make it easy. Rhetorical question. What's your Washington State okay, so if we go down to the copy text, let's have a look for examples of metaphor, personification, alliteration, similes, idioms, any of the above. I would like you to pause the video and see what you can find. I guess the purpose determines the language that's used as well. So I don't believe that I am seeing, however, I am seeing more rhetorical questions. So let's write that one in. The first sentence is, do you dream of majestic peaks, captivating sunsets, or a stroll through a quiet vineyard? That's a rhetorical question, guys. Let's get writing. And then I think at the very bottom, so whether you're a first-time visitor or a resident expert, why not share yours with the world? I'm going to skip the first few and just type in the last one. Why not share yours? Well, there we go. Rhetorical questions. Let's move on to imagery, noun groups. So hopefully by now you're understanding what noun groups are and how to identify what they are. First thing you're going to look for are, where are your nouns? One thing I want to kind of make very clear to you is that a lot of these language devices and language features can overlap, so that a noun group can also be evaluative language. So sometimes there is overlap and it's okay if they kind of go into both categories. So remember, noun groups are nouns that are accompanied by adjectives which describe them or give them a lot more detail. So I'm going to give you a few moments to pause the video and go and find your examples of noun groups. So pause. Pause the video. Okay, hopefully you've done that. What I managed to find were majestic peaks. Peaks is your noun. Captivating sunsets. Quiet vineyard. Vineyard and sunset being your nouns. Now, I'm not writing Washington State because that's actually just a noun, not a noun group. Here is where noun group, you could write first time visitor, visitor being your noun. And resident expert. Visitor being your noun, expert being your noun as well. Resident describes the expert, first time describes the visitor. So those are the noun groups I was able to identify. Now there's one in there that I did not put in noun groups because I'm going to put it into evaluative language. Okay? And that is memory making adventures. Now, the reason why memory making adventures for me is making it into the evaluative language, because memory making is subjective. It's kind of a subjective way to describe the experiences had. So if I was to say, oh, memory making adventures were had on this holiday, that's subjective. That's me, I guess, communicating a feeling or an opinion about it. It doesn't describe the adventure. You could say thrill-seeking adventure because that's more descriptive language, whereas memory making is subjective, meaning it's personal. That is why it's going into evaluative language. Whereas majestic peaks is a describing word. Captivating sunsets is a describing word. Quiet vineyard is a describing word. Memory making is kind of, again, like I said, they kind of overlap. They could be one or the other, but I'm just explaining to you why I would put that in there. Same with excellent Washington State adventure. The reason why I put that into evaluative, because excellent is kind of a subjective describing word, okay? So it's personal. So excellent is a quality that you would use to describe a feeling or an opinion about something. Modality is a bit more complicated. So I think I put, here at school we did this one today. So one thing we put in here was Washington State is full of memory-making adventures. We put that one in there for modality because it is a high degree of modality. They are expressing that they are sure that your holiday experience, you are going to create lots of memories. So for us, we put that in for a high degree of certainty. So now, if you were going to change that from high modality to low modality or middle modality, you would have to change the word is to something else. Like Washington State could be full of memory making experiences. Washington State might be. Washington State can be. So it's almost like the language. The language you use really determines the modality. So I think that's all we really found in that one. If we go to repetition. Now, repetition. There are two reasons why creators of advertisements use repetition. One is to ensure that the target audience remembers something in particular. The second thing is for emphasis. Okay, so there's two main reasons, emphasis and repetition. Not repetition, and memory. Okay, so the reason why they might repeat a keyword or a key phrase or a key descriptor is to ensure that they're either emphasizing or ensuring the target audience remembers it. So pause the video and go and see if there's anything within this advertisement they have repeated. Off you go. Hopefully you paused it and now you're back. Okay, So repetition, what did we find for repetition? You should have hopefully found the name Washington State. I believe adventure was used more than once. So at the top there it is, memory making adventures. Yep, there we go. You know what they have repeated? Your, as in I'm talking to you. There we go. Washington State adventure, your. If you think about it, think about those particular keywords there and what is significant about them. Because if you think about the purpose of the advertisement, yeah, they want you to travel there, but they want you to share your Washington State adventure. So isn't it interesting they use those keywords to repeat? Maybe because they're trying to achieve an objective there. Narrative point of view. Well, hopefully, based on what I just said, narrative point of view should be very, very clear. They're asking rhetorical questions directed at the target audience, and they have specifically referenced you as the audience. So that means it's what? Second person point of view. Second person. And don't forget to include an example of how you know it's second person. So, and maybe an example from the copy text might be beneficial as well. Tell us your story. Let's write that one down. Dot, dot. Okay, there you go. So because it's specifically referencing us or you or I as the target audience, we know that that's second person. So ensure that you are completing that as we go along. Again, pause if I move too quickly. Complete at your own pace. So let's move on to images. Okay, so I just added an extra sentence there to talk about the effect on the audience, which I guess I overlooked in my previous response. So the audience is immediately drawn to the natural setting of this location as it appears relaxing and refreshing. The colours are very green, which kind of evokes a bit of a happy vibe as well. So how are the images and text connected? Well, again, like the previous one, the rhetorical questions, the text is reinforced by the images chosen. So the images directly reinforce the copy text. So there is a direct correlation between it. Again, yours can be very different. You can explain this in your own words if you want. I'm just providing an example of something that you could say. So the images were selected to reinforce the serene location that is being referred to in the text. The beauty of this natural setting is easily seen, allowing connections to the ideas being presented. You know, if they're going, a quiet vineyard, oh, I wonder, you know, they merely have to look down to see the example there. All right, so let's have a look at the layout. Was the layout effective? Explain two aspects of the layout which had more of an impact on you. So you could talk about text, font, color, use of the images. So you could talk about the size of them, the location, and the framing. I know one thing that was mentioned by some of the kids that are here at school were that the images along the bottom, two of those images were quite beautiful, and they wished that they could see them, you know, in a larger setting. So they said, if I was to change something, I would change the images. I would make one of those two bottom ones a larger image. So it's easy to be seen. And because it's so beautiful, they felt like it would be more effective. So pause the video now and structure a response about the layout. Choose two things that you would like to talk about and tell me, do you think that the layout was effective? Off you go. I've dropped in a response that I would write. So whatever you write is up to you, provided that you have talked about the layout, whether you think it's effective, and chosen two particular things to talk about. I've talked about the pictures and the colours, but it's up to you what you would like to write. So tomorrow we're going to look at a different advertisement, but use the same pictures, the same questions. If you would like to try it independently, go for gold. So you can always watch the video when you finished and then add anything that you missed out on. So try, give it a go tomorrow. If you would be prepared, just print the sheet and have a look at the advertisement and have a go on your own. Otherwise, just watch along with us while we do the same thing again tomorrow, and then we'll shake it up on Thursday. Okay, guys, you guys have a good day. I'll see you later.